Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to yet another interesting episode of Verses and Paragraphs and everything in between. On Verses and Paragraphs, which is a creative platform, we get to learn about the nuances of everyday language. Our speaking, we learn new things. If you know, verses is stanzas, and you can find verses in poems, and you can find it also in the Bible. And paragraphs has to do with prose literature. And Eloho is watching. Eloho, shout out to you. Thank you for tuning in today. Welcoming everyone to today's broadcast, which promises to be just as interesting. My cousin Evi Iyegre is watching. I don't know whether you're watching from Benin, Lagos, or Abuja, but a shout out to you, Evi. Thank you for joining. Mary Jane, it's good to have you on the program. Mary Jane, I guess you're watching from Kaduna. Shout out to all of you. This is Verses and Paragraphs and everything in between, and has to do with language. Yesterday we were talking about Polysyndeton. I'm going to hold it up for you. I'm going to show you. Polysyndeton is the use of a number of conjunctions in close succession. I want to show you the spelling. There it is, polysyndeton. And this is it. Polysyndeton, Polysyndeton. And it is the use of a number of conjunctions in quick succession, just like conjunctions. You have the conjunction and, but. And one of the examples like we used yesterday was that when he heard the news, he screamed and he shouted and he danced and he clapped and he sang for joy. That is a polysyndeton. Hello, Dr. Raphael James. Yes, it is V and P, verses and paragraphs. Yesterday we spoke about polysyndetons, and today, since there are always two sides to something, we're talking about the opposite of polysyndeton, which is asyndetons. You just take away the poly and we have asyndetons. So we're talking about asyndetons today. Asyndetons. Asyndetons. Yesterday we talked about polysyndeton, and today we're talking about the opposite of asyndetons. Oluwafunto, bonjour. Bonjour, she's watching from France. Now, asyndeton is a writing style, and it's also a speaking style too, where conjunctions are omitted. Aisha Bantam, shout out to you, watching from Abuja, I guess. Thank you for being on the show, and good to have you on the show also. So today we're talking about asyndeton. Yesterday we talked about polysyndeton. Hello, Oluwafunto, thank you. Today we're talking about the asyndetton, which is the opposite of poly. Poly is plenty, asy is maybe not plenty. And it is a writing style where conjunctions are omitted in a series of words, phrases, or clauses. It is also used to shorten a sentence and focus on its meaning. A good example is Julius Caesar in his famous declaration, I came, I saw, I conquered. In leaving out the word and, he asserts the strength of his victory. Remember yesterday we had conjunctions which sort of like slowed down the pace of the sentence. I gave you one earlier on, like when he heard the news, when he heard the news of his victory, or when he heard the news that he had passed his examinations, he screamed and he shouted and he danced and he clapped and laughed for joy. So there we have and, which elongates the sentence. But in an asyndetton, which is the opposite of polysyndeton, the conjunctions are omitted. And I just mentioned to you the famous declaration of Julius Caesar, where he says, I came, I saw, I conquered. The conjunctions have been omitted, and there it shows it asserts his victory. Now, when you remove or omit the conjunctions, it shortens the sentence and it makes it a lot faster. Now, what is the purpose of an asyndetton? When a writer or speaker uses asyndetton, they eliminate conjunctions like and or but, and it works to make a speech more dramatic and effective by speeding up its rhythm and pace. Public speakers like using Asyndetons when they want to emphasize the gravity or drama of their topics. Remember Julius Caesar? I came, I saw, I conquered. It's very dramatic, and of course it has sort of like a punch. It's dramatic. So Asyndeton is derived from the Greek word asyndeton itself, which means unconnected. Remember that polysyndeton is also the Greek for bound together. So when you have plenty in polysyndeton, in asyndeton, they are unconnected. It's a stylistic device used in literature and poetry to intentionally eliminate conjunctions between the phrases and in the sentences, yet maintain grammatical accuracy. It was first used in Greek and Latin literature. Now, all along we've been talking about other people, so I decided to look up and see if we actually have Nigerian poets who have used Asyndeton in their poetry. And I was able to find one. Okay, there are many of them, but I just hooked up on one. He's a Nigerian poet. He's called John Chizoba Vincent, and I like to read his poem where he uses Asyndeton. Remember, Asyndeton is where you omit conjunctions. Now let's listen to John Chizoba's poem. I'm laughing because of the content of the poem. It says, "Do not date poets because they are more knowledgeable than you. You cannot win them in an argument, and many of them walk in the air as they sit to write. Their poetry hands may not give you affection and love because it is made of unseen words and metaphoric similes. Do not date poets because they would abuse you as they abuse their poetic license without being arrested." Now that is Asyndeton in poetry by a Nigerian poet. Now there are different types of Asyndeton. Good morning, essay. Yes, good morning, family, the family of verses and paragraphs. Shout out to Bridget Esemusheshe, watching with her children from Mesquite, which is in Dallas, Texas. Shout out to you, Angel and Dafe. Thank you for tuning in this morning. Today we are talking about Asyndeton, which is the opposite of what we were talking about yesterday. Yesterday we were using conjunctions. Today we are omitting conjunctions. And I gave you the famous example of Julius Caesar, where he says, I came, I saw, I conquered. Now it is short and straight to the point. He has omitted conjunctions to assert his victory. Redo essay. Good to have you on the show. So, all right, since there are some people who are, let me see whether I can find out my Asyndeton again. I want to show you what we're talking about today. It is Asyndeton. 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 And it is the opposite. And it is the opposite of what we talked about yesterday. Hello, I hope you can read what essay is saying. Auntie Hello, I love your music. I don't know whether it is your Angel. I guess it must be Angel because Angel is watching and they always watch you too on YouTube. So hello, Angel, Bridget's daughter, Essay's daughter, says she loves your music. Anyway, today, like I said, we're talking about Asyndetos, and there are different types of Asyndeton. They are classified into two types. You have Asyndetons used between words and phrases. Yes, I guess as much. It was from Angel. I said Auntie Hello. So hello, Angel says she loves your music. Angel is Essay's daughter, 13-year-old daughter, and they live together in Mesquite, Dallas, in Texas, and they are watching this broadcast. Shout out to you, Angel, once more, and Dafe. Now we're talking about the different types of Asyndeton. They're classified into two types. We have the ones that are used between words and phrases in a sentence. Now this is an example. Are all thy conquests, glories, triumphs, spoils shrunk to this little measure? And that's from Julius Caesar, Act 3 Scene 1. And Julius Caesar, of course, was written by William Shakespeare. Now the second kind of Asyndeton is used between sentences or clauses without looking, comma, without making a sound, without talking. And that is Oedipus at Colonus, written by Sophocles. Now I'm going to give you some examples in literature. Now this one is from Othello by William Shakespeare. Remember, Asyndeton is when we omit conjunctions, and conjunctions like and, or, but. So listen to one. Iago, call up her father, full stop. Rouse him, full stop. I'm saying full stop for effect, so that you understand. So, but everything I'm reading now, after each every sentence I make, there is a full stop. There's no conjunction, no comma, full stop. So I'll start again. Call up her father, rouse him, make after him, poison his delight, proclaim him in the streets, incense his kinsmen, and though he in a fertile climate dwell. I'll read it again. Call up her father, rouse him, make after him, poison his delight, proclaim him in the streets, incense her kinsmen, and though he in a fertile climate dwell. So that's the example of examples in literature, and that's Othello by William Shakespeare. Shout out to you, Emilia Odiete, watching from Houston, Texas. Thank you. Good to have you on the show. Today we're talking about the opposite of what we were talking about yesterday. And yesterday we're talking about conjunctions. Florence Obi, that is my sister-in-law. I guess you're watching. I don't know, are you in Los Angeles or are you in Asaba? Wherever you're watching from, good to have you on the show. Today we're talking about Asyndetons, which is the opposite of what we're talking about yesterday. Yesterday we have conjunctions. Today we are omitting conjunctions. Now in this piece I have just read, Shakespeare has deliberately omitted the conjunctions and, for, or, but, which are required to join the sentences. As a result, the words have been emphasized, and feelings of anger and jealousy are articulated explicitly. You see, call up her father, rouse him, make after him, poison his delight, proclaim him in the streets, incense her kinsmen, and though he in a fertile climate dwell. So you can see, because if there had been and, but, everything, it would have sort of weakened the sentence. It would have elongated it, but it would have removed the dramatic effect. Now I have another one again, and this one is a poem. Yes, I have my fan on today, but I'm sweating. Okay, now I'm going to read you another one, and this one is from the scholar Gypsy, written by Matthew Arnold. Go, shepherd, and unite and untie the wattle coats. No longer leave thy wistful flock unfed, nor let thy bawling fellows rack their throats, nor the cropped herbage shoot another head. Thou hast not lived. Why shouldst thou perish? There is old English in this one. Thou hast one aim, one business, one desire. Else were thou, Lord, seen numbered with the dead. I'm sorry, this is old English, and even myself to the thing they check me. Anyhow, but in this particular example, the conjunctions are missing in the sentences. They are not connected. However, it produces speed in the poem. There was no speed because I was struggling with the thou and hats and whatever. Anyhow, that is an example. Then I have another one again. This is from Heart of Darkness, written by Joseph Conrad. An empty stream, a great silence, an impenetrable forest. The air was thick, warm, heavy, sluggish. If it had been when we had the Asyndetons, you would have said the air was thick and warm and heavy and sluggish. But these ones, the conjunctions have deliberately been omitted. We have another one again, is written by Anne Sexton, and it is Her Kind. It's titled Her Kind. I have found the warm caves in the wood, filled them with skillets, carvings, shelves, closets, silks, innumerable goods. No conjunctions, just straight to the point. Then we have another one by Jack Kerouac, and it's from On the Road. He was a bag of bones, a floppy doll, a broken stick, a maniac. No conjunctions there. Straight to the point. It shortens the sentence and makes it a lot more dramatic without losing its grammatical accuracy. I have one last one from literature before I go to Asyndetons in speeches. In some ways, he was this town at its best, strong, hard driving, working feverishly, pushing, building, driven by ambition so big they seemed Texas boastful. And this is a tribute by Mike Royko. I'll read it again. Baba Narua, a shout out to you. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's broadcast. We're talking about Asyndetons, which is a literary writing and speaking device where you omit conjunctions from your sentences or your speech to make the sentence or what you're saying shorter and for dramatic effect. Okay, Florence Obi, my sister-in-law, is watching from Asaba. Good to have you. Thank you so much, Florence, for watching. Now, I want to read you the last piece from the literature before going to the Asyndeton in speeches. In some ways, he was this town at its best, strong, hard driving, working feverishly, pushing, building, driven by ambition so big they seem Texas boastful. Now, that is the last one I have in literature. There are so many other examples. I just chose some from the internet. Now I'm going to talk about Asyndeton in speeches. I remember Asyndeton in speeches is taking away the conjunctions, making your sentences shorter, punchier, and also for dramatic effects. And that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. And this was a speech by Abraham Lincoln. All of us know Abraham Lincoln, I hope. Then another one again, I think one of America's presidents, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, to assure the survival and the success of liberty. And this was from a speech by John F. Kennedy. I'll read it again. That we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, to assure the survival and the success of liberty. And that is by John F. Kennedy. Now we have another speech which contains Asyndetons. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength. In the air, we shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. And that is from a speech made by Winston Churchill. Now, since all of us have got phones and I'm reading these things, if you want to find out who Winston Churchill, John F. Kennedy, and Abraham Lincoln are, you can easily Google them up, but I know some of them were past presidents of the United States of America. Now we have another one, and this is Asyndeton in a speech. Now, as an engineer, a planner, a businessman, I see clearly the value to our nation of a strong system of free enterprise based on increased productivity and adequate wages. And this was a speech made by Jimmy Carter. So today we've been talking about Asyndetons. Yesterday we talked about polysyndeton, which is the use of a number of conjunctions in close succession. And I gave an example, like, so when he heard the news, he screamed and danced and shouted for joy. That is a polysyndeton. And today we'll be talking about the opposite of polysyndeton, which is Asyndeton. And as in Asyndetons, you omit the conjunctions, and these conjunctions are omitted for the purpose to shorten it. And somebody's waving at me. Anyway, Shout out to Joe Jessimile with Pastor Joe, my friend Joe Gibbs, Ashana watching from Lagos, and my cousin Eric Osai is watching. Shout out to you, Eric. Thank you for joining our broadcast. Now, the most famous example of Asyndetons is the popular statement by Julius Caesar where he says, I came, I saw, I conquered. He has omitted the conjunctions. So you see, you'll be talking every day, you know that you are making use of literary devices. And I don't know whether writers, when they know, some writers are aware of it, but I don't know, majority of us writers. I'm not sweating today, Joe Gibbs. The generator is on and the fan is working. Thank you so much for noticing. I'm not sweating today. Thank you so much. Today, we're talking about Asyndetons, which is the opposite of Polysyndeton. Polysyndeton is from Greek and it means bound together. Asyndeton is also Greek, which means not connected. So we take away the conjunctions. And I've been reading so many of the examples, both from literature and speeches. One of the very famous speeches, Abraham Lincoln, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. That's Abraham Lincoln. That's a clear example of Asyndeton in speeches where the conjunction has been omitted. And then I'll read another one by Winston Churchill. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength. In the air, we shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. And that was an Asyndeton in the speech of Winston Churchill. I'd like to talk about our word of the day. Well, where is it? Our word of today is mushy-headed. Mushy-headed sounds like, sorry, excuse me. Oh, that's not it. Mushy-headed. Mushy-headed is spelled M-U-S-H-Y-H-E-A-D-E-D. I'm looking for it. It is somewhere here. It is somewhere there. Yes, there it is. Mushy-headed. I'll hold it up so you can see. Mushy-headed. Mushy-headed. That is our word for the day. M-U-S-H-Y. Mushy-headed. And if something or someone is mushy-headed, it means that whatever that person was doing or planning was inadequately thought out. If, for instance, let me see, what example can I use from all this? A mushy-headed idea. You're supposed to prepare a meal for somebody and the meal is supposed to be ready by 2 o'clock, and then you now say, okay, we're supposed to cook rice and make stew and plantain. Okay, so what I will do is that I will fry the plantain in the night, even though the person is supposed to eat at 2 o'clock. But isn't that is inadequately thought out? So when you think something that's inadequately thought out, it's described as mushy-headed. Or if you have vague, substantiated, unrealistic ideas or options, that person can be described as a mushy-headed realist, mushy-headed idealist. If the things that you are thinking about or think, yes, mushy-headed, Joe Gibbs, mushy-headed. There, the fan is blowing it. Mushy-headed. See it, mushy-headed. If you are inadequately thinking out something and what you are thinking about does not make sense, it is mushy-headed. If you are making plans that are inadequate, they are unrealistic ideas or options, unrealistic. How can you want to eat food tomorrow? You say you will fry the plantain. Whatever you know that when you fry plantain, it has to be eaten immediately. It's okay, I'll fry the plantain tonight, and then 2 o'clock tomorrow I'll put it in the microwave for our guests to eat. That is a mushy-headed option to an idea. So why can't you just prepare the plantain just before your guest arrives? So our word for today is mushy-headed. Do you know of any mushy-headed people or any mushy-headed person? Please don't be make mushy-headed options when you can just go straight to the point and think it out properly. Now I'd like to leave you with our quotable quote for today. Our quotable quote for today is on appreciating the simple things. Our quotable quote. And it goes like this: whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, just remember that all the people in this world haven't had the advantages that you have had. I'll read it again. Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, just remember that all the people in this world haven't had the advantages that you have had. So it just goes to say, appreciate the simple things. And it was written by F. Scott Fitzgerald. He was an American author whose works illustrate the jazz age. He lived from 1896 to 1940. While he achieved limited success in his lifetime, he is now widely regarded as one of the greatest American writers of the century. His most brilliant novel is which was written in 1925. So it's good things are beyond even criticizing people. Yes, it's a good one, beyond criticizing people. There are some people, you see them, they have so many things, and yet they're complaining, oh, I wish I had this one, oh, this one. But it's just like what the popular saying that I cried I had no shoes until I saw a man who had no feet. So learn to appreciate the simple things. You have so many things. Do not criticize people. You do not know where the person is going to. Learn to walk another mile in another man's shoes. Learn to live a day, in quotes, in another man's home. You know what the person is going through. So when you see somebody, you don't understand where he's coming from or she's coming from or why he or she is doing it. No matter how angry or whatever you feel about what the person is doing, they may not have had the kind of things you have had. So learn to appreciate the simple things of life and learn to be grateful for what you have had. And on that note, I think I shall call it a day. Thank you so much, and shout out to everyone who tuned in, especially to all my people who tuned in from America, my friends and family who tuned in from Lagos, from Abuja. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, and to my friend Oluwafunto, who's watching from France. Thank you so much. I hope you have learned something today. Pastor Joe Gibbs, hello, watching from Edinburgh, Eric, Florence Obi, my sister-in-law watching from Asaba. If I'm trying to remember all the names. Okay, Bridget, Bushesha and her family, Angel and Dafe. Shout out to you guys, and I wish you a pleasant day at school today, because even though it's already afternoon for us, for them in America, it's just, I think in Dallas it should be almost 8 o'clock. I think it's about 7:30 now. They will be heading for school. So I wish you a pleasant day in school. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody. I will see you tomorrow. Sorry, not tomorrow. It's a weekend. So we'll see you on Monday. Former Ezinkwa, good to have you on, but we are closing down. If you want to watch this show, this broadcast, bye. I love you too, guys. SA, Angel and Dafe. Former Ezinkwa, if you want to watch this broadcast, you can watch it once it's put up on Facebook. Or better say, you go to my YouTube channel, type my name, Rumena Amata, and today's broadcast, another broadcast will come on. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a pleasant weekend, and see you again, by God's grace, on Monday, 1 p.m. Bye.